Good morning, everybody. This is Ralph with a little productivity hack. And this is based on what's called the Pareto, Pareto principle. I just had to look that up today. But you've heard of the regular 80-20 rule that says in any business organization, 80% of the production is going to be coming from 20% of your workforce. And I have seen this proven true in every single industry that I've worked in. I've worked in retail, retail grocery, light industrial, even church ministry. It it's consistent, applies consistently across the board. Well, this principle, the old 80-20 rule, it also applies to your own individual efforts. And this is where knowing it and using it can be very powerful. According to your own individual efforts, the Pareto principle states that 80% of your gains are going to be coming from only 20% of your efforts. And, that means that you're going to be better off if you focus mindfully on what you're doing each day and the results that you are getting from what you are doing. And then once you figure out, okay, what's the 20% of my daily activity that is getting me 80% of the gains, focus on that 20%. Focus on what matters. And you see, the thing is, most people, we do it backwards. We're focused on working harder, working longer, and hoping that something sticks, hoping that something works. And a lot of people are just out there working without paying attention to what kind of results, if any, are you getting. And of course, you know what the old definition of insanity is: doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But when you understand that 80% of your gains are going to be coming from 20% of your efforts, then you can focus on what works. And Tim Ferriss, in his book, 6 Months to Six Figures, lays out a general mode of operation, daily mode of operation that works for me. I think it's brilliant. He says, focus 80% of your time on the 20% of your labor that is getting results. So focus 80% of your time on your money-making activities, and then the remaining 20% of your workday, focus on legacy-building activities. Stuff like making YouTube videos, making blog posts, making posts out there on the internet that will outlive and outsurvive you and build a legacy. But first, focus 80% of your activity every day on the 20% of your actions that's actually making money for you. And then the remaining time, you can focus on the other stuff that is building you a legacy, a reputation. And usually we do this all backwards. We want to build a legacy, to get out there and do the blog posting, make the YouTube videos, hope to go viral. And we are not really that focused on the money-making activities. We think that the legacy building stuff, which can make us some money over time, is our money-making activity. But actually, it's the 20% that a lot of people are letting slip through the cracks. Things like talking to people one-on-one about your business, prospecting, things like that. Whatever you're doing that's bringing the money in, focus 80% of your attention on that. And then the remaining stuff that you think might be good for building a legacy, focus the remaining time that you have on that, 20% of your time on that. But I mean, the average person on X, let's say, just take for example, a lot of the social media influencers out there, this is for X, they are making an average of about 12 grand a year. So about $1,000 a month, $500 every 2 weeks. And that's not a whole lot of money. You can't live on that. And yet these are people who have built up a legacy. They're focused on the freaking legacy. They've got followings of 20,000 people, 50,000 people, 100,000 people. And yet the average creator that's monetized over on X is not making that much money at all. And I got these figures from Grok AI. And these are people that are focused on building their legacy, thinking it's also going to be building their income. At the same time, I know affiliate marketers and network marketers and just average self-employed entrepreneurs and self-employed people who have followings of like 2,000, sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more, who are making 5 and 6 figures a year, not just $1,000 a month. So what's the difference between the entrepreneur or self-employed individual that has a small following on X that's making 5 or 6 figures a year, and the big influencers who are only making like maybe $1,000 a month, if that? Well, they're focusing on what matters. They're not focusing on the vanity metrics. They're focusing on their money-making activities, and they're getting really, really good at spotting potential customers online and having meaningful conversations with them. Person-to-person marketing. That is really powerful. Jim Rohn once said, if you want to do well in sales, talk to lots of people. And that was pre-internet age. Now, he could have said, yeah, get out there and do all kinds of marketing, and that can work if you give it 6 months to a year and you're really, really good at doing your mass marketing. But if you want to get results faster, one-on-one talking to people, one-on-one prospecting, I think is the key. And I think a big key is doing a combination of both. And that's where I love that quote from Tim Ferriss. Is that focus 80% of your attention on the 20% that's bringing in the money, and then the remaining 20% of your attention, let that go to the legacy building activities, like building up your following, making your YouTube videos and building up your YouTube account, things like that. But first focus on making the money, and then, as an afterthought, focus on building your legacy. And that way, instead of being a starving entrepreneur, and I've been there myself, starving entrepreneur focusing on building a legacy and not really that focused on making a living. Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, be focused on making a living first, building your legacy second. And you can work on both every day. Just make sure that 80% of your time is focused on what really matters to support you, your family, and keep a roof over your head. And even think beyond survival. Think about what's going to matter, helping you to thrive in today's economy. And that is super powerful. So yeah, don't focus on everything that you could be doing to market and promote your business. Find out what's really working for you, where the results could really be coming from, and put the majority of your attention on those activities. 80% of your gains will likely come from 20% of your efforts. Go all in on what works. Have a good one. Remember, like, share, subscribe if you found some value in it, and we'll be coming at you later. Till then, I got to go out there and do a little talking one-on-one with prospects. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.